Walking into the padded radio room of Stockdale Highway, Kyle Jones from Law Offices of Kyle Jones. Specializing in personal injury, medical malpractice, estate planning, forming a corporation, LLC, whatever, S-Corp, whatever you want to set up.
When we say personal injury, when I say I'm a personal injury attorney, that's just kind of a very broad description of what it is that what areas I practice in. So when you kind of break it down to say, well, what kind of personal injury, then you just start to get into specifics, such as auto accidents, claims of medical malpractice, slip and falls, wrongful death, and then and so on and so forth. So they're all under that heading of personal injury. But really, what it is this injury to your person through the negligent acts of somebody else.
And then you gotta prove negligence.
Right. And which is why, as we started off and prior to taking Kelly's phone call, is some of the things that you could do to help.
Yes.
In the extent you need to prove that negligence if the insurance company is
if you get in a personal injury accident.
Right. And the insurance company, for whatever reason, is refusing to make payment or not making payment to what you think is reasonable. Here's what we're talking about are some tips to protect yourself. And so we went through the issues of trying to get a report, witness information. Another thing to do is to take pictures. So if that person gave you a statement at the scene and it's later different to their insurance company, but you have photographic evidence of the vehicles that would maybe contradict his statement, that may give your version of the events that occurred more corroboration. The insurance company could say, well, I understand our insurance company is saying one thing, but the pictures kind of demonstrate that maybe they're not telling the truth, so we're going to go ahead and pay out the policy, or we're going to go ahead and pay out the claim. And it may prevent you from having to go forward and filing a lawsuit and litigating this in court when you can try to get it settled with the insurance company prior to going through that.
What about moving the vehicles?
Well, ideally you don't want to. Understand
unless you're in the middle of a freeway.
Exactly. If you're somewhere where you're in danger, you're endangering other people, obviously the first thing to do is to move those vehicles. But if to the extent that you could move off the side of the road and they're out of the way, it's easier to take pictures, take evidence, skid marks, stuff like that. You could see in better relation to where the vehicles actually are at the time of accident, as opposed to if they're moved later.
Okay, but the rule of thumb is don't move them unless you absolutely have to. But I would think that
exactly. If you're, like I said, if you're in harm's way or you're causing traffic problems for everyone else, then it can be moved.